invest in yourself, in your business. There are expenses. And I'm here today with my guest, Pete Ambrosino. Thank you for joining me today, Pete. It's so
Uh,
good to see you. Uh, Former Lehigh Valley native, now down in Florida. We're here today to let people know it is possible to go into debt and suddenly say, "Oh my God, what am I doing? I've got thousands of dollars that I owe the bank. I owe credit cards, everything. What do I do?" You're a fine example of it, Pete, because you were there many years ago. You had gotten into what was it, a Serve Pro franchise?
yeah, I kind of grew up in the cleaning and restoration industry. I bought my first franchise when I was 23, and 15 years, 14 years into the franchise, into my career with the franchise, I found myself in doing a decent volume of business, but we were underwater by 600. I did not own $600,000 of my company. That's the debt that we found ourselves in, and it was just crazy. And it
Well,
was
hold on. I want our listeners to hear that. $600,000. Because a lot of the people that I run around town with are nowhere near $600,000 in debt. And they think, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of here?
yeah.
So continue, Pete.
So the reality was we found that debt was growing, as time went on, and we're like, you know what? We did not get into business to be a bank, to be in debt, to be in this position, and we literally waved the white flag and said, my wife and I just said we needed some help, and that's when we discovered uh, coaching and being able to hire a team of coaches that would actually help put us on a path to actually pay all that back. And we literally put about $25,000, $30,000 on our American Express card and hired a team to help us do that over the next, well, it was about a 2 year commitment. And then, it was a 10-year process to where we actually changed everything about what we did in business to actually pay it back.
Now, way back then, when you were in that position,
Yeah,
did you feel that but here in 2023, you would be in the financial secure position you are now, living the life that you are living? Did you think that that was gonna be possible?
I did.
Oh, you did?
I did. And I knew that the only way that I was going to make that possible is by changing me first. It was not an easy learning path. I can tell you that it was not, and I knew that wasn't the answer that you expected. But I truthfully had confidence in myself, in my wife. I knew that if anybody was going to turn it around, throw a challenge like that in front of me, and man, I'm gonna crush it. So did it happen as fast as I wanted it to? Of course not, right? Did it happen the way I wanted it to? Of course not. But it's just like when we plot if you plotted a course and you're a pilot and your flight plan is leaving Allentown and you're going to fly to California, right? The funny part is, and here's the question: how many times is that plane, or what percentage of time is that plane off course?
Mhm.
About 99% of the time, right?
Right. Yeah.
So the pilot's job is constantly to readjust and steer and course correct. And that was the path that the learning put us on, and very grateful. I mean, there was a lot of, I can't take all the credit. I can certainly give a lot of credit to my wife and to all of the mentors and influencers in our life, and teachers,
Yeah.
teachers mainly. I mean, it was like, the old adage, the teacher shows up when the student's ready to learn.
Mhm,
Man,
mhm.
100 grand was ready to learn at that point, because I was like, there's no way, you know.
Well, and another sidebar here for our listeners, it's like, did you hear him say about how confident he was that he was going to turn things around? So that number one here is, understand you have to have that certain confidence. to know that you can turn things around again with the right coaches, with the right mentors. I mean, it's not saying, oh, just invest in anybody. You have to find the right ones. So now, Pete, so fast forward to today. So you're kind of retired there in Florida, but but you're still helping people because now you are the coach.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you're helping people with like, strategy and marketing? Is that what
well, I mean, the truth is, retirement is not in our vocabulary. We actually are involved in 4 or 5 other businesses right now that we're actively investing and helping operationally. So the entrepreneur in me has never gone away. But the thing I get to do is I get to coach from the beach now. So
Mm,
I certainly love helping. My passion is helping families and business owners and veterans in business thrive and turn their lives around and share, and duplicate the same thing, the same path, and not hopefully catch it way before I did. Right, that's the plan, and actually course correct so that they're paying their future self first. And the whole reason they're in business is to create that income stream that we all love to appreciate when we want to not have to work. The whole
yeah.
goal is maybe not to work, but to not to have to work and do what you love, right?
Right, right, and yeah, I know I said that word retirement, but I
Yeah,
do know for many of us, that's not in our vocabulary.
sure.
I've spoken to people that people have questioned them. It's like, "Well, when are you gonna retire?" And as an entrepreneur, they're like, "Why?"
Yeah,
To retire to do what? It's like, as long as you're able to live the life that you want,
yeah.
what's the point of just stopping everything?
You
Um,
know, how many people do you know that have entered that retirement phase and it takes at the most 3 months and they're climbing the walls? They're like, I got to find something to do. I'm going crazy, right?
yeah, yeah.
So it happens to us all the time, and that's where having a plan B, plan C is always good to have, and to be able to strategize that with everybody because all the, I mean, Christine, all the experiences and skills and talents that you have, it needs to be passed on. It needs
Mhm.
to. There's certainly such a need in today's business community for all that.
Yeah, yeah, and well, I was just talking to somebody the other day about not knowing how to not be busy. It's, how do you just not? I don't know how to not.
Yeah.
So, now I wanted to, get into a little bit of some of the things you do with your clients. And you say that, within 50 minutes, you could find $100,000 in a business. Now, first of all, let's set the stage for, like, what level might that business already be at?
That business can be, oh my gosh, I would say on the lowest, it can be at any level, but I would say at the minimum, if they're producing 100 or 200,000 a year in revenue, to actually find and create those strategies around that unrealized revenue or profit is certainly I love doing it for businesses. It's something that when you can pull a business owner out of their business and literally work on it and say, hey, here's some ideas. I mean, there's always low hanging fruit, right? So we can certainly affect the profits by, let's go after your costs of goods, right? If I can cut your cost of goods by 5%, and if I can raise your prices by 10%, in about 10 minutes, I can double your profit. No problem at all, right? It just on those simple moves. If I do the formula, if I decrease your cost by 5.5% and raise your prices by 10, it'll do that, right?
Mhm.
So, but there's more to that, and it's about the client putting action to it. It's about finding those breakthrough strategies that you can actually prove that this is going to work and it's going to start to work in the next 30, 60, 90 days because you're going to start to see those results. And when the real skill is pulling that business owner out of the business and working on it instead of being in the grind of the production and everything that goes with running a business every day.
And all too often, business owners feel they can't give that time up to
Oh,
work on the business, and it's such a mistake
yeah.
that too many people are making. They think they just have to keep going the same every day and not set aside that time, and they don't realize, what they're losing out on when they don't.
And that's about where threshold is most of the time. It's around that time overwhelm, and they sit back and realize that, wow, if I left my business for say 6 8 months, what would happen to my business? Would I come back to it and it would be gone? Would I
Mhm,
come back to it and will it have grown without me?
mhm.
Right? At that point, you really know, do I have a business or do I have a job as a solopreneur? Right?
Right.
So there's a whole difference in digging into those reasons as to how you can make that transition and create a company that's full of systems and processes and solving problems and so forth. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, that's a very good point of, yeah, are you a business owner or are you an employee of your
Yeah,
business?
yeah,
And I like to pose the question of, if you looked at your own if you were the employee of your business, would you give yourself a good review?
yeah,
How are you as that employee? Would you get a raise, because you're doing such a stellar job? Or if you're the employee looking at you as the boss, what would you say about the boss?
yeah.
When
And then
people
there's the other part of it right now is that we're in an amazing shift in our economy and in our industry and the information age and everything that's available right now. Everybody's talking about the Great Resignation and all these people that don't want to come back to work. So I deal with business owners all the time that have a staff of employees, half of which are now gone. Now it's how do you remain as profitable as you were when you had that staff?
Mhm.
How do
Yeah,
we innovate? How do we create? And how do we still deliver for our customers with less people, right?
right,
So
right.
that is a big challenge that
Yeah,
we work through.
yeah. Now you said the term information age. Um, I've heard you talk about digital dementia.
Mhm.
Um, tell me how, it's now I've never associated dementia with digital, but this is very interesting. Tell me more.
So it's real simple. So if you think about our gadgets, our phones, our computers, and all the time that it just takes every day, and the time that we give it. I just added another app to my phone. If ever I add an app, I take two away. Right, that's my rule. But this app actually monitors my screen time
Mm,
and tells me how much time I spend on each application in it, and whether I'm getting improving or not improving, right? But the point about digital dementia is that we get so sucked into it and so distracted. How many clients do you know, Christine, that are breaking up their time between Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, you know,
mhm,
all trying to get popular instead of being profitable, right?
mhm,
How do you know that your ideal client is sitting on Facebook? How do you know that they're sitting on LinkedIn, right? Have we ever proved our assumptions? Not sure, right?
mhm,
What's the actual strategy on getting them off of that platform into through your paywall?
mhm.
Most can't answer that.
Right.
So we get caught up into this vicious cycle and we get into the dementia ward of the digital age that we just can't find our way out of. And that's where simplifying, getting a clear, concise plan. I'll tell you one of the most interesting developments that I neglected to mention is, the integration of AI into businesses right now.
Mm.
The whole Chat GPT piece. I don't know if you've heard about or
Oh,
played with. Have you
yes.
played
I've
with that
I've
at
been
all?
using it. I've been playing
Yeah.
with it.
So how would you like to integrate and have an extra, we'll call it 100 people work for you in the background by integrating some AI components and training your own AI to work and do projects for you.
Mhm.
It's an amazing thing. So I'm actually creating a mastermind around that right now, where we're going to be sharing ideas putting wheels to getting ahead of that and embracing that technology because those days of sitting and thinking about how to create an amazing post around these three topics, now it's done in 3 seconds for
Yeah. Yeah.
you. You don't have to, so, and my English teacher who I used to have to write papers for now, I don't have to write papers anymore, and she won't know. It's kind of funny, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'm just so glad that my children are grown and I don't have to deal with that and worry, like, are they
Can you
submitting
imagine?
something that's their own or not?
Right? Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, I mean, and we thought technology was moving at a fast pace 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be fast is not fast enough right now.
Right, right. And I mean, just talking about this artificial intelligence and writing, blog posts or, whatever. I've been reading a lot of articles on this subject, and writers really don't have to worry. I mean, as a friend of mine who is a writer, we were talking one time, and we both agreed that you have to know your starting point. You have to know what it is you really want. And some people aren't even capable of that. So there is always going to be that need for the human to be helping.
Totally.
AI is not the be all.
No,
Um,
for sure.
yeah, it's
No.
it's it's a help, but, even I see that it's I can't just take something and I'm like, "All right, let's put it out there." Oh, heck no. No.
If you think of it this way, though, if you think of the AI as instead of all the 6 to 12 hours of research that you would have to do, and pick a favorite. Like, what's your favorite author, Christine? Who do you love to read?
Well, right now, my favorite one is David Jenis because of his book Systemology.
There you go. So if you trained your AI to go read every David Janis book and come back and give you a summary of everything, you know what I mean? Now it
Mhm,
just takes that learning curve. Now I'm still going to develop and put my personal touch to it, but all
mhm.
that research and things are already done for you in literally 3 seconds, 20 seconds at the most. It's
Yeah,
incredible. So it
yeah,
changes that, right? It changes it, and it's going to change the way we do business. It's going to change all the tools that are available and the knowledge. I mean, think about how many businesses, Christine, do you know of that when you start asking a question like, "Hey, let's look at your P&L statement," they cringe.
mhm,
Oh, you just said a four-letter word. It's not even 4 letters, right? P&L, what's that?
mhm.
Okay. And then let's take it one step further. How do we know that we're maximizing our tax advantages in the business, right?
Mhm.
What if there were tools to actually assure you or create more questions, and you would go to your accountant with better questions? Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, yeah.
Because we're trusting their accountant knows every 70,000 page of
Oh,
all the tax code, right?
right, right. Yeah,
We're
I
trusting that.
ask my accountant that too, it's like, how can she possibly,
There's no way.
it's yeah, yeah.
So that's
Um,
that's what makes it fun and interesting to see all that development happen, and industries change as this goes on. Think about the
yeah,
real estate industry right now with the what are these 2% ideal agent apps, right, or
mhm,
online things, right? It's changing the whole way people look for real estate right now and the way that they
yeah,
list it. So
mhm,
we have to embrace technology, right? And being an old guy, I'm not the guy that's sitting on Instagram, and you'll find me on Instagram. Do I interact on Instagram? No, I really don't. Do
yeah,
I? Just not really that, right? But we have to really embrace it and see what's possible.
right, right. So, well, Pete, this has been wonderful. What if our audience would like to get in touch with you? How can they do that?
Oh, they can simply reach out to me on my website is peteambrosino.com, or if you want to shoot me an email, you got a business challenge that you need an answer on, I'll be happy to answer an email and give you a solution at peteambrosino.com. If you want to check out some of my business masterminds and be a part of the mastermind group, and come and get some high level business insights every week, happy to send you an invite for that as well.
Alrighty. Well, one last question though for you, Pete. Now I know we talked about your early days and then the decision to find coaches and advisors that helped you. So, that really helped you to make it click in your business.
Yeah.
Is there something else over the years, something that you learned, or maybe there's technology that helped you either in your previous business or your current one? Is there something that you would say is what really helped you to make it click?
Wow, that's a big question. I'm gonna give it a broad description, and I would say that you know how when we go to college. Now, I never went to college, but a lot of people that have gone for some advanced education or that type of thing, we sometimes feel because I have this degree, I've got this certification, that the learning process is over.
Mhm.
I've learned everything, right? And we stop growing. So the biggest investment that, or the biggest tool, I believe, is the sense of learning and always being a student. I love learning from my clients. I love discovering and learning together. I learn how to ask better questions and create more breakthroughs. But I think if the one thing was that, but learning and improving our knowledge to be able to add more value to others is probably the most valuable thing that I it's what I love to do right now. I get to do. I don't look at it as coaching and helping and advising and whatever you want to call it. I mean, everybody thinks they're a coach right now, right? And we
Mhm.
all we all want to be and stamp ourselves with that coach.
Yeah.
But show me the walk that you've walked, right? Show me the challenges and the things that you've overcame. And if we're in alignment, it's the right choice. But the point is that it's the learning and it's the constant and never ending improvement. And that's what I think is the biggest that was to be the biggest component for me.
Oh, I totally agree with you on that, Pete. I love learning myself. Yeah. So appreciate it. Well, this has been wonderful, Pete. Thank you so much for being my guest today on Make It Click.
Thanks for having me. It was great.